Think about the last meal you ate by yourself, scrolling a phone, barely tasting the food. For you, that's just Tuesday. For nearly all of human history, it would have looked like something was seriously wrong with you. Eating alone wasn't just uncommon in the ancient world. In many ways, it may have been almost unthinkable. Not because food was scarce, though it often was, but because the meal itself wasn't really about the food. So, what was it actually for? Bonding? Status? Survival? In a form you wouldn't immediately recognize as survival. Primatologist Richard Wrangham, who spent decades studying the role cooking played in human evolution, argues that the shift to cooked food didn't just change our biology, shorter guts, bigger brains, more available calories. It changed our social structure just as fundamentally. Cooking takes time, and food that takes time to prepare invites people to wait together, gather around a fire, and eat at the same moment rather than grabbing a scrap and wandering off alone the way most other primates do. That single shift, cooking around a shared fire instead of foraging solo, may be one of the quiet hinges human history turned on. Here's the part that should stop you for a second. Most primates eat on their own, defensively, often turning away from each other so nobody can steal their food. Humans do the opposite. We face each other, we pass dishes hand to hand, we wait for everyone to be seated before starting, a pattern anthropologists find in cultures with no contact with one another at all. Why would a species that evolved in a world of real scarcity develop a habit that looks, on the surface, like generosity? Because a shared meal was never really a transaction, it was a signal. Evolutionary psychologist Robin Dunbar, known for his research into the size of human social groups, has also studied what actually happens biologically when people eat together. Shared meals reliably trigger the release of endorphins, the same class of chemicals involved in bonding through laughter or physical touch. Eating with others isn't simply pleasant. It appears to be one of the oldest, cheapest tools humans have for telling another person, without needing any language at all, you belong with us. Think about what that means for a meal eaten completely alone. You're not just missing company. You're missing the exact mechanism your body evolved to use for confirming you're safe inside a group. And in the ancient world, being inside the group wasn't a nice bonus. It was the entire difference between living and not. A person who ate separately, who hunted alone and never returned to share the kill, wasn't seen as independent or self-sufficient. They were seen as a risk. Someone who eats alone can't be trusted to share when it matters, and a group that can't trust its members to share doesn't survive the next bad season. So the shared meal became something close to a public ledger. Who ate with whom? Who provided? Who reliably showed up when the fire was lit? Long before anyone could write a name down, sitting at the same fire was how you proved you were still one of us. Consider, then, how strange your own eating habits would look to someone from that world. Meals eaten standing at a counter. Meals eaten in a car. Meals eaten with a screen instead of a face across the table. None of that would register to your ancestors as convenient or efficient. It would register as isolation, the exact condition they built entire social systems to prevent. Sociologist Alice Juliet, who has spent years researching how eating together shapes inequality and connection in modern life, found something worth sitting with. The decline of shared meals in wealthy societies doesn't just correlate with looser social ties. It appears to actively produce them. People who regularly eat alone report weaker feelings of connection, not as a symptom of isolation, but seemingly as a direct consequence of the habit itself. That's the strange inversion here. You likely assume eating alone is simply a side effect of a busy modern life, something you'd fix if you had more time. But the evidence points somewhere more unsettling. The solitary meal might not just reflect disconnection. It might be quietly manufacturing it, one skipped dinner table at a time. Your ancestors never had to think consciously about any of this. The fire only had to be lit once, and sitting near it was simply what you did, the same way breathing was simply what you did. There was no debate about whether communal eating was worth the effort, because there was no alternative that made sense. eating separately wasn't a lifestyle choice, it was closer to exile. You, on the other hand, have to choose it deliberately now, against a culture engineered for convenience and speed, against schedules that rarely align, against a phone that offers the illusion of company without any of its substance. The instinct is still there, quietly, the same one that made your ancestors wait for everyone to sit before the first bite. It just has far more obstacles in its way than it ever used to. So the next time you catch yourself eating standing up, alone, distracted by a screen, notice what's actually missing. It isn't just company. It's the oldest signal your body knows how to send, the one that once told an entire group you were still safe, still trusted, still one of them. Maybe the question isn't whether you have time to eat with someone else. Maybe it's whether you've noticed what your body has been quietly asking for this whole time, the same thing it asked for around every fire your ancestors ever sat beside.